Welcome to 2 Cents Worth. I am your host, Ryan DeFaber. Before we get started, please do me a favor. For those of you who enjoy the show, please go to iTunes, Spotify, all the major platforms. Like the podcast, leave a review. That helps us get out to more viewers and listeners. It's extremely helpful. Go on the YouTube, 2 Cents Worth podcast on the YouTube. You can listen to it there as well. And leave a comment, like it. All of that is extremely helpful for us here at 2 Cents Worth. Now, on to the show. Welcome to 2 Cents Worth. I'm your host, Ryan DeFaber. Today, it might not be a well-kept secret if you follow me on social media, but a few episodes ago, I talked about, some tips and tricks in regards of buying a car and navigating that nowadays. And those tips and tricks that I talked about, I think were very useful for used cars, used trucks, used SUVs, whatever, vans, SUVs. But what I ended up doing was going out and getting myself a brand new truck. Yes, I did it. I have finally moved on from what I like to call the Dadmobile, the Honda Pilot, and I am now officially, for the first time in my life, a truck owner. Now, I've driven a truck before. My previous professional career, back 13, 14 years ago now, I worked for a construction company, drove a truck for them, or they gave me a company truck to drive, but have never owned one myself, so I'm pretty pumped. Let's be honest here. I'm pretty excited. I'm going to tell you about the experience that I went through of buying this and purchasing this truck, and most people's perceptions of buying a car, truck, whatever you want to say, is negative because car dealerships, let's be honest, they're a necessary evil, but it can be a nightmare. You can spend hours upon hours inside of a dealership going in, thinking you have a certain price locked in, and leaving, and you're paying more, and you're like, what just happened? What did I agree upon? What is actually included? What is going on? Thankfully, my experience was not that way. It goes for the old adage of it's all a matter of who you know. Not what you know, who you know. And thankfully for me, I knew a sales manager at a car dealership, and the process literally never required me to get on the phone with anybody, never required me to go to the dealership. Pretty impressed with the service level that I got, as well as just the ease of buying. So, what is it? What did I get? I got the brand new 2024 Toyota Tundra. I got the SR5 model, which is, so they have an SR model, then they have an SR5 model, then a limited, then a 1794, and then maybe platinum too. I think those are all their trims. But I got the SR5 truck with the XP package. So the grill is blacked out. I have the TRD rims. The Tundra on the back is blacked out. Anywhere where it says Toyota or Tundra it's black. And leather seats inside. It is the Predator step, so instead of a full step rail, it's just a step for each door, and it is steel, and it's got the holes in it for grip and everything. Let me tell you something. I curse a lot on here. This is just how I talk. This thing's fucking awesome. Everyone that has seen it, either via social media or in my neighborhood, had come by, or wherever I've been, has all been like, that thing's sick. Pete, who is a truck owner himself and has been a truck owner for a long time, was like, this thing's sick, dude. My good friend in the neighborhood, two good friends in the neighborhood, one is a Tundra owner currently, one used to own a truck, and after seeing my truck and I let him drive it around, he was like, man, I kind of want a truck again. It's that cool. And let me tell you something. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles that you can get with the Tundras. Like I said, you can go more trims up, but this thing has exactly what I need, exactly what I was looking for, and I'll go through that process here in a minute. But I'm so grateful to be able to have the truck and to be able to afford the truck, obviously, and I traded in the Pilot for it, and I owned the Pilot, so I was able to use that entire trade-in amount back towards the truck, which was extremely helpful in these times where interest rates are expensive or high, everything's expensive. It is what we're able to do within our budget, like I talked about on previous episodes, and it's pretty sweet. I'm so happy to have it, and my kids love it. The youngest, Harrison, is like every night after dinner, Dad, can we take it for a ride? He gets off the school bus and he's looking at it, and he's 7, and he told me yesterday, he's like, I just always wanted a truck, and now we have one. And I'm like, and in 9 years, in 10 years, when you're driving, Harrison, more than likely it'll probably be yours, right? Because at that point in time, Nolan will be off to college, Harrison will be getting his driver's license, and that's where we're going to be at, and probably go and get myself another truck. But that's the plan, right, is to keep this thing. It's a Toyota. It's going to run forever. It has exactly what I need, nothing more, nothing less. And it's also cool to know, like, that other people see it, and they're like, that's a really nice truck. Again, I've always had the economical cars ever since I got my license. Honda Accord, then a Honda Civic, then a Hyundai Sonata, then an Accord, and then a Pilot, and then another Pilot, and like that's just what I've always had. I've always had like the what makes sense car, and not that the truck doesn't make sense, because now I can go and do things that I've been having like delivered to the house. Like, for instance, it's that time of year now. We've gone through the summer. We're heading towards the end of fall. Some of the yard does need to be spruced up a little bit as we head into spring. I'm now going to be able to go and fill that truck with the mulch that I need to do, what is needed in the yard. And before, I was having it delivered because I couldn't fit it all on the Pilot, or I didn't want all that inside of the Pilot, and then all of a sudden my Pilot smells like mulch. Like, I took very good care of the Pilot. I always take care of these things. Like, there to me is, I never get attached to a car, but I always make sure that I take care of it. It's always clean inside. Make sure the kids understand that, because again, it's ours. I'm not one to trash it and, in the inside or outside. So, I didn't want to put mulch and everything else in the back, but again, like, able to now do that. The kids, sports equipment, everything else, my gym bags, if it stinks or whatever, you can always put that in the bed of the truck, and I got a bed cover for it, so it'll keep luggage and anything else if we go on trips clean. Loading up my golf clubs this week was pretty awesome, to be able to just put it back there and not like maneuver it to where it fits in the back perfectly and in the Pilot, which never really had an issue with, but again, just more space in there and everything else. So really cool. Super excited about it. And this thing's got some power. It's got 3 modes. It's got eco, normal, and sport. And me and my buddy, we put it into sport the other night. That thing will go. That engine is powerful. And it's fun. It's gonna be my parents are like, it's your new toy. It's certainly my new toy. I'll tell you though, in the entire family, I've already mentioned it, the entire family, the most excited person is Harrison. That kid, if he could, would sleep in that thing overnight. Like, he is so geeked out about this thing, which again is pretty awesome. But it feels pretty good to have people walking by be like, "Nice truck. Oh, it looks great. Look at that." And I'm like, yeah, like I finally have something that's cool. I'm going to be 40 next year and I finally have something that's cool. So, really excited about it. Excuse me. So let's get into how it all went down. So, we've been in talks of, both of myself and my wife's vehicles were heading towards 100,000 miles, which I had a Pilot. She has a Toyota. That's not a lot of miles for the car, but then it comes into a play of, are we heading towards a point to where our maintenance and cost of maintenance for the car is going to be almost equal to what a car payment would be for the next 6 years. And so I said, you know what? Let me do some research. Let me see what interest rates look like right now. Let me see what inventory is out there. We're at the end of the year. At the end of the year, as you all know, if you're aware of car dealerships, they are looking to get rid of their inventory that they have because they're loading up for inventory for the new year. As well as if you have a good trade-in, they want your trade-in because used cars are going for a lot and interest rates are a lot. So it's a win-win, right? So started doing some research. Initially, if you remember from a few episodes ago, I was talking about, what I was narrowing it down to. And really, I was kind of set on a GMC Sierra AT4. I was like, that's the truck. That's what I want when I get one. Used, new, whatever. So I go on some GMC sites and I look and I'm like, man, it's a little out of my price range. It's going to be more than what I want to spend. It's going to be more than what we would have budgeted. I would really have to scale back certain areas of spending where does it really make sense to when I have a Pilot that's absolutely fine? Our cars are both fine. So then I'm looking elsewhere and I'm like, you know what? I forgot. Guy I went to high school with, went to college with. I'm like, he works at a dealership. So reach out to him and, he's the sales manager at this dealership, the Toyota dealership that I got the truck from. And I'm like, hey, look, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a truck. I want it to have leather. I want it to have 4x4. I don't want to pay more than this. I'm willing to trade in this. Can you make that happen? Doesn't need to be today. It can be months from now, whatever. New or used, a truck, right? And so that's how it initially started. And it literally was, and just like any good car salesman, the response time was quick, all via email. Again, so for me, my suggestion would be if you have a relationship with a friend or somebody your relative might know or your neighbor knows someone from a car dealership, utilize that relationship. I'm not saying that you're not going to get the same type of service from somebody else, from anybody that if you just walked into the dealership, hopefully you do. But it's always good to know somebody. And in this instance, I've known this person since I was 16 years old. So, I'm going to trust that they are going to have my best interest in hand, as well as I'm coming to them and bringing them business. And, from a professional and a personal perspective, I feel more comfortable knowing that I'm not going to be taken advantage of. So starts with an email, literally turns into then a next email of a proposal for a brand new truck and a video of the truck. And he basically was like, is this what you're looking for? And I watched the video and I'm like, that's exactly, nailed it immediately. I'm like, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So then I go on their site, check out the truck also to make sure it's what I am needing, all the specs and everything else and details. And then also just to make sure I do my due diligence, I look at their used car inventory and I'm like, hey, at the same time, do a proposal for this Tundra. It's a couple years old. It's got less than 20,000 miles on it, but here, can you do a proposal for that? All right. So we go through that. Initially, it was through Toyota financing, and thankfully, right now with interest rates being high, if you work at a financial institution like my wife does, she works at a big bank. They actually give their employees a pretty good benefit and discount on interest rates. So we got an interest rate almost 2 points lower than what Toyota was offering. And it was like, well, all right, now run it with this on both proposals. And this kind of went on for I mean, let's say 4 days, right? Like, it probably was 4 days. And I was like, yes, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a little more down as well with my trade. So trade in the Pilot, add that to it, that interest rate, that truck. What are we looking at? Done. No other negotiations. Can we do what I have asked in this initial email of my payment being this or less, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? My payment is $100 less than what I initially asked him for. There was no back and forth negotiation to where it was, okay, you agreed upon this, but then when the paperwork is finalized, it's actually now all these other things are added in. None of that. It was final price, boom, done. So it then turned into, well, hey, when can you come in? Well, last weekend, Lindsay and I went on a couple-day vacation. I'm like, well, we can't come in this weekend. The earliest time we could come in would be next weekend. Now, I'm going to put this in as a disclaimer. Not all dealerships are going to do this. I have seen dealerships when I've looked at like Auto Trader in the past and etc. They are more willing to now come to you if that is an option they offer. Not all dealerships do that, but now with companies like Vroom and Carvana to where they literally will deliver your car or whatever to you after purchase, dealerships obviously want to, be able to compete in that type of market. Well, it was, how about this? This was his response to me. Hey, how about this? When are you and your wife going to be home together? And I was like, Monday when we get back from vacation, both of us can work from home. He's like, I'll bring the truck to you. Paperwork will be done. I'll bring the truck to you. All you have to do is sign the paperwork and we'll drive the Pilot off back to our dealership. I'm like, okay. So again, still in my mind that morning, I'm like, I'm getting emails from him and them, making sure I have everything together. And then I get a call from the seller, salesman, who is different than my friend, the sales manager. Obviously, he puts it to, one of the sales reps. Hey, we're finishing up detailing. I'm heading over to you. I'll put a full tank of gas in this thing and we'll get there. So he gets here, and I'm still expecting, like, okay, there's got to be some type of catch here. No catch. Literally, paperwork was all done, printed out. Everything that I needed to sign was marked. There was no hidden costs, nothing. I literally provided him my title of my car. I provided him the paperwork for the loan. I gave him the check for what we were also going to put down. I signed certain things. I gave him the 2 keys to the Pilot. The paperwork took less than 10 minutes to sign, including conversation and him explaining what we were signing. Walked outside. We walked around the truck. He showed me all the features. He took the keys to the Pilot, drove it off, and that was it. And the whole transaction, all in all, from him getting to my house to leaving, was about an hour. Not 4 to 5 hours in the dealership, kind of going back and forth. Your sales rep leaves for a while. You don't know what's going on. They come back. They got some different paperwork with different costs on it. None of that. It was literally that easy. We know that they've cashed our check because we've seen that. The application's all done. I've been driving the truck. My insurance is updated. Another thing that's great, if you have SiriusXM, when they register the truck, which they did that weekend, I got an email from Sirius saying, hey, congratulations on your Tundra. Do you want to transfer your service? And then that was as easy as possible, too. You literally go into Sirius, you type in your information, you select the vehicle that you currently have service with, and it just literally transfers over. So when I got into the Tundra to drive it for the first time, my Sirius subscription was updated and done and set up already. So I didn't even need to worry about that. Reached out to my insurance guy. For North Carolina, you mail back your tag if you're not transferring it. I went to the DMV and the line was crazy. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Just to drop off, literally to just drop it off. So I mail it. I'll pay that $3 or whatever it was to mail the license plate back. I took care of that. And let me see if there's anything else on my list that I did. I believe that was it. I think it was, yeah. Sirius, insurance, and tag. And that was it. And I'm now the owner of the truck. It was that simple. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say that my experience is going to be what your experience is. But again, it helps if you know someone and can trust someone. The car buying experience, just like the DMV or anything else, or going to the dentist or whatever, there's anxiety around it, right? This took out all the anxiety, and I even told Anthony that. I was like, dude, like, this was the best car buying experience I've ever had. Even the last time that I bought my Pilot, I had a Pilot from the same dealership, and I told him, I go, I'm going to bring this back, and I want a brand new Pilot. I don't want to pay more than what I'm paying on this one now. Can you make that happen? Yep, no problem. Sales manager calls me, and I don't know the sales manager. He calls me. We're on a call late at night one night in the driveway. I remember the whole experience, and I'm like, yep, I feel good about it. All right, I'll come in tomorrow. I go into the dealership, and it was still, I think, 2.5 to 3 hours. Everything was supposed to be done. I was supposed to walk out of there paying the same amount. Well, guess what? I wasn't. I was paying a little more. I got stuck there for a couple hours, and I got sucked into their little game. And that, even to me, I was like, man, I don't even want to do that again. And so this experience was great. So I suggest, if you have the opportunity, use someone that you know. Try and just lay out exactly what you want. And if they're not able to make that happen, if you're not truly in a major crisis to get a car, you can wait. Because I'll be honest with you, especially this time of year or around their big sales events, they want to push vehicles. So they're more than willing to work with you if obviously the numbers make sense. You can't bankrupt them by any means. But again, it's like Vegas. They're always going to make sure they come out on top regardless. But if you know that going in and you say, okay, if they're willing to work with me and negotiate and meet my terms, that means that they are still going to make it out on top at some point. Whether it's through your trade-in, that they're then going to sell for more, so they might take a little hit on the new to get it back from a used purchase, whatever it might be. Do that. Make sure that you're laying out what you're looking for, because if you just go in and say, hey, I'm looking for a truck, that could be a full day of you sitting in the dealership trying to haggle and figure out everything. That's my suggestion to you. I bought the truck. I love the truck. The process was simple. It met my terms. Obviously, it's meeting their terms. They're happy with it, or they wouldn't have gotten me the truck. Again, and going back to driving the truck here, I asked the sales guy, I go, so you guys like do a lot of deliveries like this before? He's like, nope, this is my first time ever doing this. And I was like, oh, he's like, how long have you known this guy? I'm like, since I was 16. He's like, all right, makes a little more sense on why he was more willing to like bring this to you than have you come out. Because where he works versus my house, it's probably a 35, 40-minute drive, 45, depending on traffic and everything. So, I could have gone to other Toyota dealerships that are much closer to my house, but, I want to utilize somebody that I know and give them my business, as well as, they now have a good reputation in my eyes. And now my neighbor up the street has already asked me for the sales manager's information, because now they're looking to trade in one of their cars to get a minivan. And I'm like, so again, like now it's leading to hopefully more business for them, because my experience with them was a positive one, right? So in anything in life, like if you have a good experience, you're more than willing to give people that information. Like when me and my neighbor, my buddy, went on I let him drive the truck and everything. He's like, man, I want one now. Like, jokingly, but kind of serious. And first thing we did after we got home, I pulled up the website of the Toyota dealership I use, and I was like, look, man, I'm like, here's what they have. Like, and I go, you can reach out to my buddy. And so again, it's potentially going to produce more business for them, which is what they want, right? So they're in the service industry. They get it. They made it simple. The salesman was awesome, super nice, really friendly guy, and all in all, a great experience. I have to thank them for that. And if you want their information and you're in the on the lookout for a car, regardless of where you live in the country, I've seen him post that people have come from Washington State to buy cars from them and from elsewhere. And I do know that obviously dealerships, if you find a car that's somewhere else and it's within their network, they can deliver that car to that dealership and do that transaction, everything. He did tell me that. He's like, we do have drivers that drive the cars to other dealerships that people are looking to buy and all that stuff, because there's these massive networks that they have now. But if you want that information, you can email me, 2centsworthpodcast@gmail.com. You can hit me up on my social media. If you know me and you have my cell phone number, obviously you can text me. But that was my experience. I'm super excited about the Tundra. It's really cool. The kids love it. Lindsay has already stated she will not be driving it, which is fine by me, because I finally have something cool and fun to drive. I've never been somebody that likes to drive. It's just not my ben. It's not been what I like. I don't like sitting and driving for hours. But this thing is so smooth. It's so fun to drive. It's got the bells and whistles that I need. I could see myself going on a road trip and enjoying the drive rather than kind of dreading the drive. But as always, that's my story. That's my 2 cents worth on a car buying experience that I just went through. I hope that yours is similar and not a terrible experience by any means. And if it is, don't ever do work with that dealership again. My suggestion to you, and let them know. Let somebody like a sales manager or a general manager know of your experience. And they're in the service industry. They're to be making sure that the customer is getting quality service. And if you're not, change, or let them know that they need to change or look at their internal processes. As always, give the podcast some likes, share it. Stars, likes, comments, all of those things help the algorithm, help the podcast get out to more that might need this advice. I'm your host, Ryan Faber. I hope you have a great, great day. And if you see me driving around Charlotte in the Tundra, it's okay to be jealous, because I'd be jealous too, because it's awesome. Love you guys. Bye.